11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's right. Hear the call. It's swelling. It's swelling to episode 93 of Granny's Peach Tea. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Episode 93, the first and only episode without Ed, our normal host. Unfortunately, Ed, and I know Ed told you this, Rick, he ran afoul of some red kryptonite this week. And we know, watching what we've been watching, we know what happens when you run afoul of red kryptonite. All right. Later last week, the man was fighting himself. Today, he's running the flu. I don't know. Tomorrow, next time he'll return, which will be apropos for this episode. But joining me instead, while I take reins, while I take main host duties, and boy, what a mistake that was, Ed. But my co-host today, friend of the show and usual pop-in and co-host, Rick. Rick, how are you today, my friend?
Live from St. Petersburg, Florida. Glad to meet everyone today. Glad to be the Jason Fishetic of this episode. Or the Ed Camus of this episode, whichever one we need. I'm ready to be one or the other. One thing I did want to note is Eddie went through a lot last week with all the apologies to all of his friends. I don't know if people out there know. We've known each other since, we were children. And Eddie, he might have ruined a lot of relationships or made people view him different ways after forcing them to go through the rewatches of, Superman 1, pretty good. Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman 4, Supergirl, Super Duper. Here we are today.
Yeah. This has been an experience, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts, and I'm excited to hear our guests' thoughts. Grogan and I think Tim is showing up today about the movie we watched today, because this is different, but it's odd, and I'm curious what everyone thought about it.
It's going to be an interesting conversation because it's not going to be the normal banging on. And it's also not going to be the hold hands and praise it together. It's going to be strange.
Yeah. I think this is going to be divisive. I think some people might have really liked this. Some people might have hated this. And as host, I'm just going to have to remind us all that this we can agree on as a movie. And therefore, we are in a better place than we were with Supergirl last week. Because that, I still say, was not a movie.
Stays within the bounds. It stays with the bounds. It might even be a Superman movie.
I think this is a Superman movie. I think that an argument could be made that this is a movie, and this is a Superman-driven movie, which is, I don't know, that it has a leg up in at least two movies we reviewed so far.
Yep. And I got
at least how I'm concerned.
Little story about what happened last week when I was expected to be here for Supergirl. Seems I ran.
Yeah, that's right. You watched this movie.
I watched Supergirl
and did not come on the show.
And twice because I didn't believe what I watched. Between rape attempts, naivete, and just everything in between. I watched it twice, and I ran afoul of some synthetic kryptonite prior to the episode, and my hair was falling out. I was rapidly aging. Luckily, my dad left me a crystal for the third time. So
that's good. That's really, really thoughtful that your dad left you all those crystals.
This series is taking people out one by one. One by one, people are getting taken out by this Superman series.
It's true. We were talking last week about how sad it was that for you that you watched Supergirl and you were not able to come on and let it go and vent and take the apology. So, you know, as the dual representative of Granny's PhD, as the host this week, in reparations, I offer you an apology for having to watch Supergirl twice.
Thank you. I'll accept it on behalf of everyone that listened to the podcast and went running and screaming to HBO Max to watch this film that was dubbed. You know, some actors in front of a camera.
Experience. That was all it was. Oh, but let's not belabor the past. Let's let Supergirl die in our minds, in our memories. Let's let her go. But let us jump on top of Doom Patrol Season 4, Episode 5, Youth Patrol. Now, Rick, this is the first time you're joining us for a Doom Patrol recap, but you said you've been watching the show and you're up to date. So what are your thoughts on Doom Patrol overall?
So I agreed with you guys. Well, overall, it's I love these weirdo shows. I've started a rewatch of Legion recently. I think Legion is like Doom Patrol if Quentin Tarantino did it. You know, like it, or Stanley Kubrick, or if Stanley Kubrick was in charge of Doom Patrol, you would get Legion. It makes you think. It's super dreamy. It's shot beautifully. It's acted well. I love the crossover scenes with Muppets and the insanity of the butts. I recently rewatched a couple of episodes of Peacemaker, which I got to tell you, after a rewatch of Peacemaker, I don't know how it made She-Hulk look worse, but it did. I don't know how the two have anything to do with each other, but rewatching Peacemaker made me dislike She-Hulk. But anyway, Doom Patrol, I really hold.
But you were disliking She-Hulk anyway.
Yeah, that's true. But it really sits in this really happy spot for me. When I watch Doom Patrol, I know that they're kind of making that show for me. And like open-minded people like me that are willing to go down whatever rabbit hole they want to go into. And I really like that they try to follow the comic books a bit. But there's, so many left turns and right turns, crossover with Titans, which I love. I'm really happy with Doom Patrol, and I haven't spoke about it much this season because this was Doom Patrol and Titans this season were rough starts for me on both ends. I think Titans finished up really well, but I didn't love the way that it started off. And Doom Patrol, I didn't love the way it started off. But this week was an episode that reminded me of why I love Doom Patrol, why I tune in, what I want to see. It, unlike last week, which it was a little rough for me, even though I love Danny. I love Danny,
yeah,
and I love the Denizens. Like, it's a fun portal and character and thing that they always use it for. But I was missing Robot Man. I was missing Crazy Jane, and all the characters to make the show what it is.
Yeah, that's what we said last week. That I actually really liked that. I forget her name, but the character of Niles Calder's daughter. And I would have been cool if that episode was half about her. But right. The fact that it was only about her, and I didn't see the Doom Patrol. Right, exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't like when Mandalorian stole that, the Boba Fett episode, and it was, season 3 of Mandalorian. Like it wasn't that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's what they wanted to do, but it wasn't that.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't that. I think they wanted us to care about that character because she's coming back, and it's like we haven't seen her in a while. Less is more in this particular instance. But this episode does bring us back to the main storyline, the Doom Patrol, and this is the A, and we'll talk A and B plot. So the B plot, we'll get that over quickly because it's kind of a shorter one, is Negative Man, who is looking for Keeg. And he finds Mr. 104, who is Mohinder from Heroes. And they, they go and have it out. And Keeg is in 104, and he is pretty much putting Negative Man through this whole mental thing of spinning him around and making him either watch Mr. 104 kill a bunch of people by pretty much bringing water into the air and suffocating them, drowning them, and he's watching it like they're on the air base that he used to be on. And then later on that you see it's actually Keeg has put him, the Negative Man, in the chair, and Mohinder, or Mr. 104, is watching other people die around him while they take his bandages off, and it's the radiation poison. And then the whole thing is an exercise that Keeg was trying to get Negative Man to figure out, was that what needs to be done is to kind of accept that this guy, Mr. 104, whoever he is, even though he's the bad guy, needs help. And there's a non-violent way to get around it. And that's how Keeg returns to Negative Man. So that's kind of the B plot taken care of this.
Great part of the storyline too, is that was going on for a little while.
Yeah, it was very. It was. What did you think about the fantasies that Keeg was putting them through? Where, like, at first, Negative Man's watching Mr. 104 murder a bunch of people by drowning them in the office, and then it's him actually murdering people through the radiation. Like, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, well, the whole being weapons thing, that's the whole, for me, it's the whole plot of Doom Patrol, is that all these people who are beholden to Miles Calder, when they found out that what he did was he basically just weaponized, he selected and then weaponized people, to do his bidding. And then he kind of isolated them on top of that. Characters is, they are weapons. The military doesn't want to use them for good, and they're isolated, and they're being forced to kill. It's the whole thing is it's really rough. It's putting each other in each other's shoes. It's beating something home for us, the fans that are also watching. If we would have just seen the one experience, that'd be one thing, but then seeing the two, it's really hammering things home for us.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to put it. And I like that what you said, right? That the Doom Patrol is ultimately about people with powers being weaponized. And I think that's interesting because that's what Madame Rouge is playing out. And her whole arc this season is the fact that she was someone responsible for weaponizing people like this. And now they've asked her to sort of do that again for the greater good. So it's really interesting that you kind of hit the nail on the head with that, because they're still exploring that with even the newer characters.
Yeah. And you bringing her a bit in the comics recently. I've gotten access to the older ones online, and I didn't know that they kill off Elasti-Woman and Madame Rouge actually becomes the leader. I don't think that's what they're going to do with this season, but it really looks like they're trying to go in that direction, I don't know. I don't see them going that way, but they're kind of setting it up to go that way. What do you think about that? Or do you think Rouge, do you think she really has an opportunity to, have a Doom Patrol to really become a leader with them?
I think she does. I think that by the end of this season, I think she's going to be the real bona fide accepted leader. But I don't think they're going to kill Elastigirl. I think, and I think the whole point of her arc, Elastigirl and Madame Rouge's arc in this episode, because the whole episode, the whole A plot is it's the kind of a take on one of my old Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes, one of my old favorite episodes, where everyone's a teenager. Well, there you go. Now you got to deal with that. You're de-aging quickly. It's like an old sci-fi fantasy trope done really well here, and. It all starts off because Elastigirl is aging, which she's hasn't done in 100 years, and we find out that the reason about that is because Immortus is this guy who's immortal, and Calder ground up parts of all of the of what he had of Immortus. He had a small part and fed it to the Doom Patrol to keep them immortal. And that is what they were harvesting back from Elastigirl in 2 episodes ago. So she's seeing that she's older. She, of course, goes and looks for, hey, it's an experimental magic potion that will reverse aging and it's dangerous. I'll just use it on everyone. Ha ha. And laughter ensues. But her whole arc with Madame Rouge is her actually forgiving Madame Rouge for all of the past stuff, and Madame Rouge actually showing the genuine desire for that forgiveness. So I think because they're exploring that, I don't think they're killing Elastigirl, but I think they are setting Madame Rouge up to take the reins of the team.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And then, so just to get the arcs for the other characters, Cliff's arc, because I'm saving Jane for last because she's my favorite. She's my favorite arc of the episode. But Cliff's arc is he gets super stoned and goes, hey, no one asked me how I'm doing, guys. I'm throwing a rager with these teenagers we picked up at the Texaco.
He's turning into Mr. Popular from high school again. The over-the-top attention whore. He's turning... Yeah, he's I think he's reverting more than anyone else. Everybody else is kind of like being what do you call it? More open or express themselves. He's just fucking turning into a whole other person. Yeah, it's it's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I don't want to gloss over how funny Robot Man was with the jizz jokes when they were they're going to be reverting back to this, to that, to back in your dad's nutsack. Him and Crazy Jen were kind of killing that part.
No, that was hysterical. And I like that interaction. Would we have been friends in high school? Right? He asks her, and Crazy Jane's like, "You were popular, weren't you?" And then she admits, like, I actually wasn't here. I wasn't the personality. I wasn't even created yet. Their direct quote is, Kate didn't shit me out until after her 20s.
And that explains a lot. All the way back season 1. You know, why she seems to be one of the more adult versions of Jane. However, she's kind of like a kid a lot of times. But the way she treats things, she never had a youth. I think that's an interesting angle that they, I mean, if she never had a youth, none of the personalities had a youth.
No, absolutely. And I think that's actually the whole point of Jane, right? Because, or Kate, because Kate was so traumatized at such a young age that none of them had a childhood. And that's why she's got all of these alters. And I love that Jane, as the main alter, like, she gets stoned, she's listening to music, she starts to masturbate, and then, like, she brings herself directly back into the mind, and she thinks someone in the mind in the underground has brought her there. And I think that's a very interesting and super cool way to show that she's trying to explore what it is to have this body without the attachment of my whole job is to protect Kay, because Kay said, don't protect me, go do something else. And now she feels guilty about it. And I love that, like, doing these normal, small human things makes her feel so guilty that mentally she's brought right back into her psyche.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I was thinking about that a lot. Why, you know, her reverting to these things, her having to feel like she's got to explain herself for these things. Like you said, when she went down, she's like accusatory immediately, you know, like somebody that got busted doing something, and they're all like, dude, you just showed up. Like,
yeah, you know, right. We didn't bring you here.
No, it's her character could spin off to her own show, especially, you know, like I said, with me rewatching a bunch of these Legion episodes recently, that character could be a show herself. And I think they have a lot more. Sure. I know they dove into season 2 was heavy on her. Like, they dove into her a couple of times, but I love the character. I think that they should drive behind her even more than they do.
Yeah, I love this character. I think, and I love the actress too. She was from Orange is the New Black, right? She was one of the girls on that.
Was she?
I think so. I think she was.
I never I show, but I missed it when my wife was was on her binge of it.
Yeah, my wife and I got into it at the same time, so I watched it for a while. But yeah, no, but I love Crazy Jane as a character. I love the actress. And yeah, and that's the episode. Except like Willoughby. Oh, I forgot. Willoughby comes back, who's not Constantine, but like very easily could be. But I guess is a Doom Patrol guy in the vein of Constantine. Yes. But I mean, he's been on the show before. He's the one that made them all the right size for a price in the beginning of season 2, so he's been there. But now he's back to tell them about Immortus, and Immortus is an eater of reality, and he wants his pieces back from them, and he's got already 2. And he, in the weirdest scene in the episode, saying a lot, he pretty much gets his magic back and gets re-aged through Bunbury, which is the magical bunny, which eats the soul of a baby. What the fuck happens at the end of this episode?
I think that's what happened. I think that's exactly. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened there, unless he just ate all of all of the stuff that Calder put in there, and then the baby aged back up, and they no longer have I don't know. It's great use of a bunny. Probably some of the best use of a bunny since Search for the Holy Grail. Like, that's what was going through my head during that scene. I was like, if that thing starts flying around, best episode ever.
I was gonna say, yeah, the second best to Holy Grail, because the Holy Grail had some amazing bunny work. All right. Anything we missed? Anything you want to talk about to add on to Doom Patrol before we return to the Superman franchise?
Yeah, I want to get your opinion on what's going on with this Cyborg storyline. Because sometimes it feels like he's another one. Miss my childhood, miss my boys. But then there's a lot of scenes in Doom Patrol where I feel like you know what I mean? I feel like there's more secrets to Cyborg than we're getting, than we know. I feel like they're showing some of them to us blatantly, but it could be the trees for the forest. What do you think about that character and everything that he's going through?
I think his arc is interesting. I think his arc is interesting, but not as entertaining or interesting as anything else going on. Like I hope you're right. I hope they're leading to something that I'm not seeing. Because to be honest, I completely left him out of this episode, and I normally really like his character, but I've just found him so forgettable this season. And I think his character, he becomes a teenager, and he's kind of the geek. And then when he becomes a preteen, he goes to his friend Derek's house, who's the guy who he built the robot with, that we found out a couple of episodes ago. And we know that he's thinking about him because in the beginning of the episode, he's holding the robot that they both built together. But yeah, I hope they do something interesting, because I think it's cool that they're trying to set up hey, this guy misses this connection with his past, but with all the other stuff going on, it's just not landing as well for me. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
No, that's exactly where I'm at. Is it's not landing well with you because it's not landing on anything. Like what are you saying? For me, that's what I'm getting. Is it's he at this vulnerable moment, he shows up to his boy's house. What is he there for exactly? I guess that's next episode. We'll find out. But so much of what he's going through is always vague. It's always vague. It's always, his dad turned him into a weapon, and it's his dad did this and his dad did that. and now he doesn't want to have cybernetics, and everybody thinks he should have cybernetics, and now he's got a new role on the team, and it's like it's always it's like we're playing chess and he's a pawn that you're just moving forward and back when you don't know what's kind of like what I feel like is going on with him. Like we're not getting anywhere. He looks different, and that's about it. You know, it's his character design looks different, but like what's going on with him?
Yeah.
At least that's how
I agree.
You know.
I agree 100%. Like, like what's going on with him? Like, do something. Like, he's a good actor. He's
right.
They've done interesting things with the character up until now. They actually had like a super interesting moment with the character in the first episode where he meets his future self, and you know, he wants to like go out guns blazing to save his future self. But yeah, since then we haven't really had much to do with him. So hopefully, I mean, I have faith in the show because it hasn't disappointed me, but hopefully that they've got their eye on where that's going.
Hopefully.
All right, so I guess that leads us to Superman Returns. And speaking of returning to the show for the 5th or 6th consecutive episode, Mr. Steve Grogan, how are you today, sir?
What's up? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep. We can hear you.
Because I had to replace the microphone like in a different spot, so I didn't know. All right.
Gotcha. You can hear us. We're all good.
Yeah, we're all good. Yep.
All right. So here we are at. Wait, let me change the banner. Ed usually does this, and he usually does it without commenting on it. But I'm not as good as Ed is. So
you're doing fine. I've been watching it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I got on backstage, and you guys were talking about like masturbating and stuff. I have no idea, but it's been going well.
Yeah, well, that was Doom Patrol. That was the show we were just talking about.
Yeah. Right. I've never watched it before, but I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jizz jokes just this episode.
Yeah.
All right, so I think before we get into discussing this movie for what it is, I want to ask you guys to place it in the pantheon of all the Superman movies we've done. Where would you put this movie? I'm going to start because I just sprung this on you guys and I didn't tell you in advance, so I'll give you some guys to think about it, time to think about it. But I think that 1 and 2. Superman 1, Superman 2, I think in that order are my favorites at this point. And that changed on this rewatch for me because it used to be 2. But then there's this movie, Superman Returns. So it's 1, 2 Returns. And then I'm going to go 4, 3 and Supergirl, which I think we can all agree is at the end of every list. So whatever we're going to say about this movie, and I don't know what you guys thought about this movie, I do want to put it in the context of I do still think it is the 3rd best Superman movie in this run.
All right, hold
Rogan,
on.
Would you follow?
I'm cutting out and cutting in because I'm on a delay, so I'll be right back.
Okay, so then Rick, where did you fall on this? Like, where would you put this movie in the list?
Unfortunately, I still haven't seen the original Superman movie, and I know that's going to be the best out of the bunch. That's what everyone says. I mean, it's to be the best bad movie, but but it might be a good movie. But this one, I found it really it was slow at times, but it was entertaining at times. I would probably say it's the best Superman movie that I've seen so far while we've been on this this binge. I'd say it's better than 2. I'd say it's better than 3. I'd definitely say it's better than 4. And I'd definitely say it's better than Supergirl. What's weird for me is and you guys can tell me what you think about this, but I feel like this movie lacked a fight scene, number 1. And I feel like it lacked the blockbuster feel. Like, I don't feel like there was a blockbuster feel to the movie. I didn't feel like Superman was special like I did with Christopher Reeves, where he's captivating and he dominates the camera, good or bad. But you can't take your eyes off of him. I felt like this movie lacked that. Even Lois Lane in the original series, she commands attention. I don't feel like anyone in this film demands attention at any point while on camera. Not one of them. And I feel like that's the only thing that's lacking.
All right. Excellent. Grogan, what about you? Where would you put this movie in the list?
Dead last, even after Supergirl.
Holy shit!
I've hated this movie for a long time, okay? And on the rewatch, first of all, I had to do it today because I had a really bad work day yesterday, so I had to do it today. And it was, I mean, Avatar long.
It's an honest man.
Didn't need to be. And
it is long.
And that's with them even rushing the beginning, which is like all right, like they give you just a little synopsis at the the written thing where it's like, okay, well, Superman was sent here by his father. Cool. I mean, that eliminates the whole first hour of like the first Superman. Like you could just, that's it. We know that now. And they sent us Superman. So like without that, they still made it like almost 3 hours. And you felt every minute of it. Supergirl at least was like entertaining for how bad it was, but this one almost pretended that it was good, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm picturing like little Cindy Routh like going to Thanksgiving and telling her like boyfriend, my Uncle Brandon's going to talk about how he was in Superman, and the boyfriend gets all excited and like, oh, I love Superman, but no, he was in that one. That's how bad it was. It really made me mad that they probably like all put this together and everyone was excited about it and how it was going to be received, and it was so bad that it just insults me that it was made. So that's where I'm at. Dead last.
Wow. I am crestfallen. I'm not saying that I think this is a good movie because I don't. I actually think most of these Superman movies are not good at all. But to hear you say that the experience known as Supergirl, we couldn't even we agreed it wasn't a movie last week.
Yeah, but at least we had fun talking about it. You know what I mean? This one, it's just like
fair enough.
Yeah, like it was like at least you could like laugh at some of Supergirl. This one, like I said, tried to be a good movie, and like the amount of money that went into it could have like saved starving children. Makes me upset.
All right. So, so I have it middle. Rick, you have it pretty darn high, and Grogan dead last. So this is quite the panel to talk about this movie. All right, so let's talk about its connection. Since we're talking about the other ones, let's start with its connection to 1 and 2. Rick, since you were the person who liked this the most, you saw 2, right? You just
yes,
1 you didn't see.
I only didn't see 1. Yep.
All right, so how do you feel this movie, like, what kind of job do you think it did pretty much wanting to function as Superman 3? Do you think it was connected enough? Do you think that it did a good enough job hooking into the source material, the prior material?
So this movie, when it came to that, because I had to like look up what the heck was going on. Like they feed you a screen crawl in the opening that's like, hey, all this stuff happened, Superman, which according to the Supergirl episode was all it needed was that to explain how all of those people lived on that one place, and you guys would have all accepted it. So
would have been something.
This could all. Before you go, Rick. Yeah, before you go, like just look, I read a thing where they said technically you can count Supergirl as the one before this because it explains why Superman was gone.
Correct.
Oh,
And I didn't think about
Correct.
that, but when
So
I was
this
reading about the movie.
Because in Supergirl, he's gone.
holy shit!
Yeah, so it eliminates
Yeah.
3 and 4, but kind of if you want to really stretch, Supergirl is in this canon.
100%. No, I didn't think about that, but 100%.
All right, go
when
ahead.
when
Sorry,
I
Rick.
watched it, no, but that's a perfect way to jump into like where my head was when I was watching it was Halloween did the same thing. Halloween 2 starts like 5 minutes after the first movie ended. Then I think it was like Halloween 3. She's like, "Hey, I'll be in the movie, but you got to kill me off in the beginning. Like, get this over with." And then when they redid recently the franchise, they acted like the rest of them didn't happen, and it's just 1 and 2. And with this, looked at it the same way. It's like, okay, I guess the rest of them didn't happen, and it's just 1 and 2. A lot of it falls in place, and for the things that don't necessarily fall into place for me, I was like, you know what? Fine. It's just another like universe, like Handwave of it's another universe where some of the same things happened. Right. Because I mean, the fortress shouldn't be there. So the fact that it's there, something is off. The fact that his name is Superman and not Super Dad, I think is pretty evident in this film. It's just I couldn't get over it while watching almost the whole movie.
He is the worst dad in the DC universe if we just go by this movie, right? Like,
It's like they call him Lex Luthor calls him a god, and didn't God impregnate a girl and then disappear? I mean, really?
That's true. Zeus did that shit all the time.
So I wrote a whole thing about that earlier today with Superman, like with DC's Holy Trinity, with Superman being God, with his powers as strong as they are. He freaking fly the planet backwards. Batman is kind of like the, the human version of God. So that'd be like, Jesus when he's not, walking on water. And then you got the Spirit. There's more than one Flash, like it. DC's whole thing with the Trinity, even at the end of this movie where Superman has a son, they're really feeding into it without leaning into it entirely, which is weird. Because they could have had the guy who played Passion of the Christ, Jesus. He wanted to play this Superman.
Yeah.
Jim Caviezel.
He wanted to play the Superman. Like they could have just gone the whole way with it.
Yeah, I mean, later in the movie, not to jump
just
ahead,
made him
when
Christ.
When he falls like this, I mean, Jesus. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, there's a ton of that going on throughout this entire film, way more than any of the other movies for whatever particular reason. Maybe it was that Passion of the Christ came out a year or two earlier, and they were trying to feast off of people's vision of that.
Well, I think that this movie definitely suffers from 2006ism. Like the fact that it was made in a time like when superhero movies were long, epic things, and we had like Passion of the Christ in the theater, and like I don't know, it just we had the remake of King Kong. This actually reminded me a lot of the remake of King Kong because I was watching it as I watched the remake of King Kong and went, "This is interesting but unnecessary." Like that was kind of my take on it. But so Grogan, how do you think it fits in being essentially the sequel to Supergirl?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously just the one thing from Supergirl, but Superman 2, it's I mean, obviously we accept that they had the baby, so that was from the Superbed thing from 2. Lex knows where the Fortress of Solitude is, I guess, so that's also 2. I guess there's enough, continuation where I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's more connections, but that makes sense. Like, I mean, well, I guess it was loosely, I guess, connected
to support you. He installs in the Fortress of Solitude, and the chick said it. She was like,
"You've been here before.
Like you've been here before."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and we still get the pronunciation of Krypton. So like that for me held it home. It's still
Which I know you're
Krypton
looking for every single time.
every single time. So let's talk about the cast then, because I think that's the big thing. This is in the Superman universe. Brandon Routh is supposed to be Christopher Reeve. Whoever the hell plays Lois Lane is supposed to be Margot Kidder Lois Lane. Real life villain Kevin Spacey is supposed to be Gene Hackman. So like, how do you guys and Steve, I'll let you start on this because Ricky started last time. How do you guys feel that they did with the casting on this?
Well, it's hard because that never works, right? Let's just call it what it is. Speed 2 didn't work. Keanu Reeves wasn't in it. I mean, it didn't work for a lot more reasons, but I mean, let's just say you can't do it. It's really hard to do. I understand it had to be done because it was like 20 years later, but you have to kind of suspend that a little bit. But I mean, as far as this movie was concerned, I don't think it mattered who played anybody. Like, it's just, he looked like a Superman. Like, roll him out. I'm sure they had a million headshots and was like, okay, this guy looks like Superman. We'll leave him a curl and send him out. But I don't think that, I don't think it matters. I thought Kevin Spacey was great, actually, as Lex Luthor. What do you guys think?
Nice.
Yeah. No,
Rick?
I'm with you. We all grew up in the 80s and the 90s. We saw Fresh Prince when they brought in the new Aunt Viv. Like, wasn't the same.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can't bring in other people to play the same role. Like, you introduce new character, and I think that's what hurt this film in the long run. Is they tried to reenact the Christopher Reeves film move. What they needed to do was reinvent the wheel. When you had Batfleck come out, he was, I don't want to say he was nothing like the Batman before him, Christian Bale. I don't want to say he was nothing like him, but he was kind of nothing like him. And then with the new Batman, he's kind of nothing like his two predecessors. They're not asking him, hey, play Christian Bale for us. They didn't go to Joaquin Phoenix and go, hey, can you do that Jack Nicholson joke? Imagine how bad that movie would have been if he did that. If they were like, hey, this is like the prequel to Batman 89. We need you to be that Joker. Like, that's basically what they did here. To feed off of Grogan, they introduced a whole movie of new Aunt Viv, and we were supposed to like take it for what it is instead of reinventing the wheel, putting a new coat of paint on it.
The Aunt Viv
and I think
theory.
that's what hurt the movie in the long run.
I do like that, the Aunt Viv theory. So I have to say that, Rick, you actually hit the nail on the head about my feelings for this movie when you said they're better off. They would have been better off just doing something new. Because I actually think Brandon Routh is a superb Superman with what they give him. I mean, I think they're telling him, be Christopher Reeve. And he's like, all right, I'm going to be Christopher Reeve. But I think, like, I've seen enough of him acting, and I've actually seen him as Superman in some of the DC shows. Like, he reprises his Superman role in, like, the Arrowverse at some points for 1 or 2 episodes. I would love to have seen this movie just go, fuck Superman 1 and 2. We're going to give you Lex Luthor is Kevin Spacey and Brandon Routh is Superman. Margot Kidder is this boring girl who I don't remember, or Lois Lane, rather. And just give us something original, because I think the biggest problem I have with this movie is it's got a good cast that they're really trying to shoehorn into a Richard Donner Superman movie.
See, as many things that bother me about this movie, that doesn't really, like, I get that they had to do new people, and I almost like the fact that it's loosely based as a sequel in a sense. So that doesn't really. I thought that was kind of cool, and you have to do I'm not imagining this guy is Christopher Reeve. Let's just put it that way. And you guys talk about different universes. Let's just say that, suspend that in your head and let these people continue the story, and I'm cool with that. So I don't know, a full reboot, I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of like the fact that it jumps to the next thing. It's just that the rest of it is terrible.
I guess they kind of James Bond did. They kind of James Bonded Superman in this, then more than anything.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way. You know, you're still Bond. Get out there.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. It's just like the movie itself is shit.
So, all right. So, I think that this is the one last question I have, and then we could just talk about our thoughts. Steve, you can tell us what shit about it. Rick, you can tell us what you liked about it. But Superman's kid, like, I'll start with this one because this is my biggest problem with the movie. Is what the fuck is going on here? Like, this movie thinks that none of us know this is Superman's kid the second he's on screen. B, there are multiple scenes of this obnoxious fucking kid just like tooling around Lois Lane's office with that's Scott Summers, right? That's Cyclops as her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a James Singer movie. And like, again, does she know that Superman's the father? Would she know? Like, that nothing about the kid makes sense at all to me. I think that is if there's one thing I would say that is a poxmark on this movie, it is the kid. And not that the kid exists, it's the way, like, don't treat us like idiots. Everyone should know that Superman's fucking kid. When Lex Luthor figures it out, it should be 20 minutes in the movie, and it should be to start the conflict, not to end it.
If Lex Luthor would have had the kid the entire film, it would have been a better movie.
What do you mean, like kidnap
Yes.
them?
Yes. If he would have kidnapped and kept the kid in like some kind of kryptonite chamber thing, or if he would have kept the kid, and since the kid never showed off any powers, kept him in a normal room with normal guards like he did, and then have
There
that
you
be a
go.
way the kid I blast everyone and turns into Brightbird. But
There you
like good
go.
Brightbird.
Well,
They missed an opportunity
him
there.
come- They did.
Are we
You
just
have him
think
come
that
down to the planet and... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, come down to the planet. Go ahead.
No, so like if you have him come down to the planet and Lois knows, shit, this is Superman's kid, and Lex knows, but Lex doesn't care because Superman's out for a while. Like, the people in the know who actually know who Superman are know that that's his kid, and the big reveal is, oh, Lois Lane's kid was kidnapped. That sucks. I'll help her out. Wait a minute, that's my kid? Like, if that happens a half an hour into the movie, now we have stakes. We have a reason for Superman to be doing things, and we have stuff I care about. You know, and I think that would have been a better movie. But Grogan, go ahead.
Are we supposed to think that the kid is having breathing trouble because he's half alien and he's like adapting? Or is it because she smoked while she was pregnant? Because obviously she's a fucking chain smoker. Or like, what's like, and why did he only exhibit his powers when like he was angry? So that goes into a whole, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, they tease it all the way through and then nothing happens from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, missed
I agree, and I think
opportunity
that's
there.
That's the problem with it.
I mean, one of the many problems with the movie. Yeah.
All right, so
Why do you
before we
think they
delve
made
into the
Lex's? Why do you think they made Lex's arm candy talk like a '40s gangster broad?
I think the whole movie went that route and going with like, it's Superman, it's old timey. I think they tried to make it, their attempt, I think, was to make it old timey and throwback, but also modern, and it doesn't work like many things in the movie.
Yeah,
So-
and I think they're trying to get a Miss Tessmacher feel too, like you know,
He needs that.
like a gangsta type thing, and yeah, like, and that's the thing is, I think this movie was trying to do a lot of like, hey, we're doing this. Do you like this gimmick from the first one?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, but I mean, like, so, I mean, if you just start from the beginning, so Superman's gone, he flies into space all the time, and apparently he needs a spaceship to get to Krypton. Why is that?
Yes.
It's far.
Plot device.
It's far. I like that.
It's far. I
It's-
mean,
Yeah, well,
you can walk. You
that's the
walk
thing.
to the bodega, but you're not going to walk to Macy's.
That's a good point.
You walk to the bodega. And why, when he's remembering that he's like, you know, when he was a kid and running around, why does kid Clark need glasses? Like,
Plot device.
I understand that, like, he needs it as a disguise when people know he's Superman, but like when he's a kid, why is he running around with glasses?
Actually, that would break canon then, because Clark in his high school photo when he went back was not wearing glasses in that picture. So Clark did not wear glasses in high school.
He did in this one, his graduation photo in this one, glasses.
Ah,
And
not same universe.
as you remember,
Not the
Superman
same.
3 was the one he goes back to high school in, and that's the one that's been erased from existence.
Yeah, I mean
Ah.
that hour long scene. Yeah, in 3.
Hey, at least Jimmy Olsen's not hanging out with teens anymore, and he's a proper age for someone with that job.
That did make sense.
This is true. I did like Jimmy Olsen more. What did you guys think of Lois Lane though? Like, I've kind of made my feelings clear. Like, she's the one character we didn't talk about so far.
You want to go, Rick?
She lacks star power. Yeah, I'll just say it like that. She lacks star power.
I don't know, but did Margot? I mean, really, is Margot Kidder?
She didn't
What, Julia
command the
Roberts?
screen. And the original Lois Lane, good looking lady, but not like drop dead gorgeous. This Lois Lane is prettier than her, but did not command the same. For me, she didn't command the same amount of attention. You know, she didn't come on the screen and your eyes were drawn to her. Original Lois Lane, you know, like I said, good looking. Maybe she's somebody's type. Not drop dead gorgeous. She wasn't like Brooke Shields or anything like that. But she commanded attention when she was
Brooke
on the
Shields is your
screen. You were
top.
looking
That's
at
it.
her. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was what hurt Lois here is Lois, you know, I don't want to say she's eye candy, but she's got to draw attention to her one. And she's got to be important. And I feel like in this film, she was neither important. She didn't command any scenes for me. She just didn't draw enough attention.
Okay. Speaking of hurting Lois, can I tell you what my problem is? Lois in this movie was thrown all around the plane when it was crashing. She got the shit kicked out of her by one of Lex's henchmen. She got a door slammed into her face later on in the movie when they were like underwater. Never bleeds, no bruises, always pretty.
She woke up like that.
Yeah,
There's just some girls like that, Grogan.
there's some girls like that. All right,
Grogan, maybe she's born with it.
They roll
Maybe
over
it's Maybelline.
at 6 a.m. and they put
maybe
some
it's
sweatpants on.
Maybelline.
They walk down to the bodega and they just wake up like that. It is
She
what it
literally
is.
looks the same after. I mean, really, getting it. It's completely ridiculous. I understand Superman having that, but not. I mean, a regular person. Let's assume she's a regular person.
All right, so serious question here. It's going to sound like a joke, but it's not. She housed. Sorry, Ed is here. Ed is with us. Your problem with Lois in the plane. This chicken fork and breathe in space.
Lois breathed in space in this one. She was in a plane, but she breathed in space. They were floating.
We don't know that Lois isn't special.
Okay.
We don't know that
All right,
yet.
so
She could be
here's
a
my
metahuman.
question, though.
I'm-
She was able to conceive, carry, and give birth to a half Kryptonian godchild.
Yes.
Women and their children share important bodily, fluids and functions, whatever, when they're in the womb. So is it possible that she might have a little super herself, because she had Super Kid in her stomach?
So now it's fucking Twilight? Is that what you're telling me?
Simply a question.
All right. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, she could just be a mutant.
Again, you guys are writing better stories than the fucking movie is giving us.
That's because we're having a conversation and not just throwing plops of dog shit against the wall to see what sticks for the next Superman movie.
Yes.
We're using our brains to say words.
Oh God, yeah.
They did none of that when writing these.
No.
No.
Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
Couple things I wanted to not miss out on before we move on to the next thing. Superman can breathe in space, but they tried to kill him by drowning him.
Yeah, but that's when he had kryptonite in him.
So kryptonite makes him breathe oxygen?
Oh, yeah.
No, but kryptonite makes him mortal, so water theoretically can kill him. It's kind of like a what's the Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis thing?
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so Superman can breathe in space, but he can also drown.
Yes.
Never thought about that.
I mean, we haven't gotten to that where he lifts the kryptonite island, which is completely fucking ridiculous. But go ahead.
So let's talk about lifting the Kryptonite Island.
I mean, that's at the end, though. I mean, there's a million.
Let's address it. Let's talk about it right
There's many
now.
stupid things that happened before that. But yeah, we could jump around this one because who the hell? They didn't fucking make a plot, so who cares?
He lifts Moldova into the sky. Throw it and its citizens into the sun.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure they were all fine. This
Yeah.
was back before the PC police came around and said, "Hey, you can't mass murder people in my superhero movies."
Yeah, it was a simpler time.
Simpler time. When scores of people could die by superheroes for our entertainment.
I miss it.
It was a good time. How did they never show anything about the tsunamis that would be hitting New York's coastline? We also didn't discuss the fact that Metropolis has been moved from the Midwest to New York City as per the map in this film. So where's Gotham? Back in Chicago? Because Gotham exists.
Was Metropolis in the Midwest? I always thought it was New York.
My understanding is Metropolis is
Metropolis
basically
and
like
Gotham.
Minnesota.
Oh. I
don't
always
know,
just
you
thought of
guys-
them both as New York. And
How about when
part of that
Jimmy
is
Olsen
because we
drove to
literally-
his hometown that was within driving distance and he was in the Midwest?
Okay, fair enough. But how about the time the Twin Towers were in Metropolis? I mean, this has been a crazy ride.
That's true. The Twin Towers do select this certain area.
But before we even get to that, let's middle of the movie, like we see that Superman obviously like, all right, so he outs himself as Superman again. His coming out party was the stadium saving, whatever. And then he goes on his saving thing, which kind of is a throwback to one, and he's like running around. But like we finally see that what he does is he flies into space and just listens and then chooses what he thinks is the most important thing to do. Right? I mean, we always wondered why
can't do
Superman shows up.
everything.
I understand that, but I mean, like, so he let babies crying and all this shit, and Superman's like, no, I'm going after the guy with the gun. Which I guess is right. But
Because he can do something, like he can go and take the gun from that guy, and that issue is done, right? But baby's crying. It's like, what's he gonna do? Commit to parent for the next 20 years? Superman's not got time for that shit.
that's true. I mean, if he's not going to take care of his own, why would he go help another one?
Yeah,
And
I
also
think that was
chimes in. Isn't that what God supposedly does, right?
True.
Listens in, grants what they want, gets away with what they don't
That's all.
want.
Yeah. It's like Santa Claus.
When Superman flew up and was like, "I hear everything," all that did was make me think of the comic book. What if Spider-Man kept his cosmic powers? Where by the end of it, he gives them away because his spider sense is so strong, he literally hears everything. That's kind of a tortured Superman. Imagine you really hear everyone's cries and you have to choose who you can help.
So now it's fucking
heavy.
Bruce Almighty.
We never got any. we never got any on how heavy that is and how heavy the heart is of the world's superhero, because he's not just in Metropolis here. He's in Germany. He's in France. He's in all over the world, saving people and doing things. And they never go into the toll that it takes on him and his soul while he's playing God.
Yeah.
But I think another question we're not exploring is, and it's a very important question that I wouldn't actually pose if Ed was here. But if he can hear everything, doesn't that imply that, and he can hear everything where his intention goes to, does that not imply that he listens to Lois Lane have sex?
But he what?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
He hears her do everything else. Does that not imply that he uses that to listen to Lois Lane have sex or do other things that he should not be listening to Lois Lane doing? Because as we know, she's the scream that always comes up in his head first. So he's always listening to her.
I'm sure he does because we see him
that
as a creepy voyeur and everything else in this. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah,
does.
he
He's a
does have that
creeper.
creepy voyeur moment.
Yeah, I
where
mean,
he's
like,
staring
let me
into the
look
house.
He is a creeper.
Gross.
Ooh, you.
Yeah. And
Not
he
my
doesn't
child,
just
and
stay
no
hundreds
one
of
knows
yards
it's my
away
child
looking
yet.
through the walls. He flies up to the window and stays right outside the window watching them.
Yeah. Like a
thinking about how
sexual
he was
tooth
going to
fairy.
take Cyclops' girl.
Yeah.
Like the sexual tooth fairy.
But yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
he I
God,
guess he hears whatever
He's
he
out here
wants
to
to hear.
walk away from his kids, ruin marriages.
Yeah, I mean, there's a filter I guess he has, and so he goes down, he stops these guys from getting shot. And the reason I bring this up is because the guy's firing like the fucking Jesse Ventura from Predator gun at his chest, and nothing's going through this suit. And
That was ridiculous.
later on, of course, the doctors just rip it off like it's nothing. But it's like, he had to show that he was Superman, so that's another Superman thing. And, so getting shot in the eye. I actually thought the shot in the eye was a cool scene.
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool, but it was one of those things where it's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, what did you, like, honestly, like, if I'm in a fight with someone and I pull a knife and I stab them and the knife doesn't go through their chest, I'm not going to go, I'm sure there's a better place in their body for this knife. I'm going to go, this knife's not going to work, man. I got to fucking calibrate.
Yeah, I think it was Tim already who brought that up last week, where it's like that's just what they do. Like villains, they do throw the gun at them,
Yeah.
So what would happen if, a la The Boys, a superhero or villain were to run up his urethra and then turn right back into his normal size? Or Ant-Man go backyard and turn into his normal size like
his
he wanted to
urethra.
do to Thanos? We'll attempt that to Superman.
Oh, that kills anyone, right? Like,
It would kill
having
me.
someone become microscopic, go into your body, and then become the regular sized person kills like that. That's a God killer. Right? Like, you could kill God with a capital G like that, right? Like, nothing survives that.
Huh.
It's true. They should have a villain called the Catheter that just does that to superheroes.
Why do they call you? Ah!
And you will know the power of the catheter.
Catheter. Yeah.
Every superhero's last words is, "Why do they call you the catheter?"
He goes goes after Batman and Superman and all the guys who wear their underwear outside.
That's why they do it.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
This superhero exists somewhere in the 60s.
I want it so badly. It's guys, it's like a 60s DC villain, right? Like it has to be. It has to be someone who fought Batman and like I don't know, got something put up its ass or something. I don't know.
I can see that like in the old Batman, where it's like remember in the old Batman movie where it's like it seems like a joke, the Joker. It seems like a riddle, the Riddler. It's like my dick hurts, the catheter.
All right. All right. So,
moving on.
Any other thoughts about this movie? Because I don't have much. I don't have much else to say. I thought it was kind of a boring movie, to be honest. But any other highlights?
Lifting the Kryptonite Island. Can we just talk about that for a second? For a couple reasons. First of all, he steps on the Kryptonite Island, right? And Lex Luthor and a bunch of guys beat the shit out of him. So he has obviously lost his powers stepping on the Kryptonite Island. Okay.
He also can't fight. They whooped his ass.
Well, he doesn't know how to fight. He's never had to fight before.
It's true.
All right.
Yeah. So
they're beating the shit out of him, and he's a normal guy. He falls in the water, and then they come save him. Whatever. Then Lois does surgery on him, which the doctors later in the movie don't know how to do, but Lois can apparently just fucking like open him up and take this kryptonite out. He goes back after getting his powers back.
She's a superhero.
Lifts the Kryptonite Island, throws it into space, which is, the Superman MO, and then falls, and they rush him to the hospital. They rip off this suit that apparently a gun can't go through, but they just rip it off. But the syringe breaks on him, and he's, essentially dying. Now, in comes Lois to give him, I guess, first love's kiss to wake him up, and apparently we're in fucking Shrek. Am I wrong? Did I say anything wrong in that whole fucking thing?
No. That's the story as we know it.
And then he's awake.
Yeah,
later.
I mean that's pretty much it.
Story as we know it. She kissed her true love and saved him.
I mean, come on.
It is counterpointing that the kryptonite was stinging out of his side, and it was easy to take out.
Okay.
You could see it. You could see it.
But she had to get through the suit. Well, I guess it was sticking. It went in through the suit because the suit's penetrable by the kryptonite.
You know what? They did rip the suit like with their bare hands.
Yes, they did, and it came off like nothing.
You see the suit like tear open along the length of his body.
Yeah.
And that I don't know why that didn't bother me during that scene. It should.
That thing ripped off like a bar whore's Halloween costume.
And that suit's been hit with everything. However, some fucking scissors get that bitch right off of you.
Yeah.
What makes the suit powerful is actually Superman's skin. And once you move it away from the skin, you can just take scissors to it. Come on, guys. Come on. Hand wave that shit.
Jesus. I mean, really?
No.
I mean,
no.
All right. Fine. Go ahead, writer. Write it.
While we're on the suit, Lois acts like she'd never flown with Superman before, but then says, "I forgot how warm you were."
Yeah.
Another interesting.
They're playing fast and loose.
That's cheating, by the way. That's cheating. Like
you do that with reality, not life. How big a scumbag is Superman that he knocks her up, he takes off, he comes back, kisses her, she kisses him, tries to ruin her marriage, but then he just also hangs around, doesn't try to claim the kid, nothing.
And the guy's and she's like,
He's hanging around.
My,
He's gonna do what he
she
does.
goes, my guy flies. He's taking me up. He's like, not like this. Feel how warm I am.
Yes. Yes.
Scumbag.
And actually,
Yeah.
we didn't actually get the 20-minute prologue where Lois tries to take him to court to get some like money for the kid, and he's like, I don't know, try to DNA test me. Syringes go right through me, bitch. You're not getting anything from me. It's not my kid.
That's great. Yeah. Here's 17% of my green crystal. Take it.
Don't throw it in the water.
Boy, I'll tell you what my dad said to me on my 7th birthday. It's called Krypton. That's it. That's what he said.
He uses it's Krypton currency to pay his child support.
It's really too bad we never got. It's really too bad we never got a part 2 to this, where Superman's son grows up and he's like 15 and hates his dad. This would have been. I think they missed another opportunity there. Superman Part 2, where he just. Oh,
It's
God.
like, Dad, it's the second weekend of the month. Can we play football?
Meanwhile, he's out of the universe on a spaceship somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, when he goes in, creepily flying into the kid's window, like some freaking, like a Peter Pan thing, and talks to him while he's sleeping. And again, we never understand why he revives. We have to assume it's the kiss or whatever she whispered to him, but there's no reason for him to be back.
Reverse Sleeping Beauty.
I'm just saying,
I mean,
Superman knocks you out with his kiss.
Lois can't fly in reverse time, so I mean they had to do something.
He's got to kiss him. That's the only way to end a Superman movie is to fly the planet or kiss Lois and erase her memory. She went for one of the two actual finishes. Right? That's it. You have 2 finishes to a Superman movie.
That's right. She saw Superman 1 and went, I can't do that. Saw Superman 2 and went, I don't remember that, but I think I can do that.
Superman doesn't remember anything of their relationship. He's just very fond of this kid.
We don't know how many people he's done this to.
Do you think, or here's another question. Here's another serious question. Do you think anyone who Superman has had sex with remembers they've had sex with Superman? Or do you think he's like Rohypnol kissing each and every one of them?
I'm pretty sure the chick from Superman 3 is pregnant and had a super baby and is aware of it.
Yes. All around the world, there's
The
just
one with the red outfit.
All around the world, there's just asthmatic kids throwing pianos. All around the world. Everywhere.
It's true. Superman 2, The Search for Child Support.
Yeah.
It's like
He's inseminating the earth.
all these chicks are like, dude, number 1, I know you're American, and number 2, I assume you have a job. So you're gonna have to fucking do something about this kid that keeps launching shit through the windows.
Every time he saves someone, he just finds whatever damsel in distress and just does that.
That's actually the Kryptonian plan. They're not taking over the planet. They're breeding us out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Krypton prima nocta kind of thing.
Yeah.
Son, you've got to go and enact the Krypton prima nocta, which means you're going to have sex with lots of women, but you don't worry about it. You can just kiss them. They won't remember it.
Yes. That's the last crystal.
They sent Superman here to repopulate the Earth, to bring over here.
Fun fact.
Look at that.
Fun fact is this is how much research I do when we do these, because I take it very seriously.
I gotta hear where this goes.
Lois, when she's getting in the cab, says she lives at 312 Riverside Drive. So of course I looked that up and see where that is in New York, 312 Riverside Drive. And it doesn't exist, but there's all these stories about it. Turns out recently, like all these stories, if you look up 312 Riverside Drive, it doesn't exist, but all these like calls were made for like crimes and crazy things happening at 312 Riverside Drive. And they found out it was a crackhead just calling in like fake police, like fake reports to the police. And like it was happening for a long time. They finally caught the guy. And I'm wondering, like, it's a fake address. This guy was calling it in. Do you think he was inspired by this piece of shit that only appeals to crackheads?
I'm gonna listen.
My personal headcanon is that this is 100% tied to it. That person saw this movie and went, "Yeah, all right, you motherfuckers, I'll show you."
What are the odds?
That's that personal headcanon. That's what happened.
The odds are pretty good. I'm sure that this crackhead was in the South Bronx in 2006. And either he got the DVD player out of down there's fire escape, and he went home and he smoked some crack and he plugged this in, and he heard that address and he just couldn't stop calling in fucking various crimes.
See, Rick just wrote a movie I'd rather watch than this.
You know what? Me too. Because I was gonna say I want to watch that movie.
No, that'd be a great movie. It's about this crackhead that goes up and down the Grand Concourse, fucking selling shit that he steals from people's cars or their apartments. Yeah. And he makes all these calls while watching Superman Returns to the police. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, if you guys didn't know.
Yeah.
I would love to watch him as a crackhead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. So anything else on Superman Returns? Any cleanup? And by the way, Ed would not have let us go down this rabbit hole this far. Ed would have yanked us back already. But you know what? I'm not Ed. All right, things are different on my watch.
I hope Ed feels better. But yeah, I like the fact that we could just like rant like this without him putting us like trying.
There's no referee.
Well, yeah.
This is a game of 21 with 3 basketball players that have never played basketball and no referee.
This is what it is.
No
this
ball.
Is like this is like a therapy group with no therapist. I like it.
Look, this show is many different things for different people. It depends on what you need from it. Tonight, you guys needed therapy. Tonight, we had the Supergirl thing behind us. Grogan is still processing the trauma that was this movie, apparently.
Yeah, it hurt me in my soul.
So is there anything else that we have? Oh, you know what? We didn't actually talk about it. It's one small thing we didn't talk about. I can't believe we didn't talk about it. But Frank Langella's in this movie. Frank Langella's Perry White.
Yeah.
Now, do you think Frank Langella did this like he did Skeletor just for his kids? And do you think, like his role as Skeletor, this is one of his favorites?
I forgot that he did that. That he was Skeletor. Yeah. But
You forgot that he did Skeletor?
Yeah, stole the DVD player.
Yeah. I did read that the Superman guy and the Lois girl all signed on pre-script. So they just wanted to be part of a Superman movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but
one thing, since we're talking about people that signed on, excuse me, that's all the malt liquor I've had to pound while discussing this film. This episode brought to you by Old English 800.
Cheers.
Because I was not going to drink good beer while discussing this film.
Old English is the Bud Light of St. Petersburg, Florida.
You still have the ability to drink Old English? I mean, I guess it's a Floridian thing. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah. I'll probably be a mess while I wake up on the beach in the morning, still talking about Superman 4.
Yes.
Chris Rock, I think, was in the talks to play Jimmy Olsen in this film. How interesting would this film have been if Chris Rock was Jimmy Olsen?
So not better and not worse.
Shit out of him.
Yeah.
But keep Lois Lane's name out of your mouth.
I don't know.
Definitely a
And
more interesting movie. I would agree.
we also have to talk about like when the Daily Planet, planet was falling and Superman catches it and just lays it on people's fucking cars and destroys it. Like, out of all things, why not throw that into space so that someday people will be going by and the Daily Planet is floating in space? Missed opportunity.
This is a guy that launches nukes into space.
Everything goes into fucking space, and he has to destroy a car that a guy probably saved up his entire life to buy.
You know that shit's not covered because it's
No.
active terrorism. And like you guys know, I work in insurance and acts of terrorism are not covered. So all those people lost their cars.
But now, Rick, I have a serious question for you as someone who works in insurance.
Mhm.
If we lived in a world where there were superheroes, in particular a Superman, who would fight crime and habitually destroy property, you don't think there would be a superhero premium that you'd be paying? Like, you'd be paying for it. It'd be extra. But there would be superhero insurance in this world.
You could. So what it would do is it would be treated like the hurricane premium. So in Florida, if you have like a loss, let's say somebody drove a car through your house,
Or
which
trailer.
happens often down here. $1,000, $2,500 deductible.
Wait, that happens often?
It's Florida. So, or let's say like Superman throws an airplane through your house. Superhero deductible. It will probably be like $12,000, $15,000. You can pay down for a lower rate, but since it's not going to happen often, you might leave it at that $12,000 route, and you'll be pissed when it happens.
All right.
So superhero
you know what?
insurance, not out of the question, but it would be expensive.
Yeah, and ultimately, you know what? You made your point that these people probably would not have paid their superhero deductible insurance, and therefore their cars are destroyed in their property. So yeah, all right, you've convinced me.
Well, yeah, I mean, so much happens in the superhero
Manhattan,
world.
So
You know what I mean? That doesn't really happen. I mean, if you live in the city, the helicopters don't fall in the middle of the street usually. Giant kryptonite islands aren't growing in the middle of 2nd Avenue. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that just, it's a different world. So I'm sure people adjust
for sure.
to that.
I've watched superhero movies. I've watched these Superman movies going, what a hellscape it would be to be a non-powered person in living in a world with a superhero. Because
why would
bridges
anybody
are
live in New
collapsing
York
all the time.
yeah.
Why would anyone live anywhere? Bridges collapse all the time everywhere. I don't know about you guys. I've lived
That's true.
43 years in the world. I've never heard of a fucking bridge collapsing. I have watched these movies, and I've watched the San Diego Bridge snap and be destroyed 27 times. It's crazy.
Yeah. I like
San Francisco
non-powered
Bridge,
person.
not San Diego.
That's a great term.
We're Petersburg. The Skyway has been hit by a boat and collapsed, and there's another bridge around here that's been hit by a boat and collapsed. So it definitely happens. Those things happen like 50 and 30 years ago, but it definitely happens.
Well, down there, everyone's drinking fucking malt liquor, so of course it happens.
Yeah, I mean, but does it happen outside of Florida is the real question.
No,
it's all down there.
Only in Florida.
Florida is the fucking metropolis of the real world.
I can't wait for Grogan to move down here and start realizing all the things me and his parents have been talking about.
I
Like,
know. I lived there. I lived there for a year, and literally, Publix chicken is the best part about that entire fucking city.
it's true. It's true, Jason. Publix chicken, and
Now
as
some
per
Publix
Eddie,
chicken.
Wingstop.
And Wingstop.
Eddie's all about the Wingstop down.
I was down there, and it was in a. I
I've
was.
never had it.
Isn't there a Wingstop here? You're right.
There's one in
No, there
Forest
are
Hills.
New York,
I could
but-
walk to a Wingstop in 20 minutes.
Oh,
See?
next episode, we should all
Jason
be
just took
eating
away
some
your
Wingstop.
entire fucking tourist attraction.
The only reason to visit Tampa Bay is Busch Gardens. Oh, by the way, Superman came to Busch Gardens. Fuck.
What do you mean?
Forgetting when that.
Is that when he fought himself?
I don't know, but it was somewhere in the mix of this movie. There was a reference to Busch Gardens. Fuck, it's escaping me.
Really?
Sorry. I've had quite a bit to drink in preparation of this conversation.
No.
That's fair. Someone look. Since you took my role, it was your imperative. You needed to get drunk. I had to actually be a bit sober to take Ed's role tonight. It's a weird dichotomy, but so thank you for picking up the mantle of drinking as the co-host.
Yeah, that sucks.
I knew the job, but I knew it was hard, but I was ready for it, you know?
Nice.
Eddie texted me this morning and he was like, "Hey, RJ Connection, you guys got it today."
Yeah. Oh, all right. So I'm going to say one more thing about Florida, and then we'll say our ending piece about Superman Returns. I think if you guys have bridges being destroyed this often, then someone needs to step up and just become a fucking Floridian superhero, because apparently the world works differently over there, and it might happen. Maybe you guys need a Superman or a Superwoman.
No, we'll just keep shooting
alligator.
at hurricanes.
Now
We'll just keep shooting at hurricanes.
You both came through at the same time, and Grogan, you said a super alligator, and Rick, you said shooting at hurricanes. So I pictured super alligator versus his arch nemesis, Dr. Hurricane.
Better movie than what we just watched.
It's true. It's on Sci-Fi Network. Came out last year. Fucking Super
Oh, it's
Gator
fantastic.
versus Hurricane.
The closest thing that Florida has to Superman is that everyone there is in a fucking wheelchair.
Oh my god!
Oh, Jesus! Whoa! Oh! Oh man!
Yeah, that's my
All
ending. note.
right, so Rick, what are your closing thoughts about Superman Returns?
Closing thoughts on Superman Returns. I didn't go to the bathroom when I watched it, so I guess that's
All
good.
right, hey.
Because you're wearing a diaper because you live in Florida.
For the most part, as I rolled into the lagoon while watching this movie on my phone, I thought about, you know what? I didn't go to the bathroom not one time. So
Hey, that's something.
there's something to be said for that.
That's because you didn't want to pause it because it
There
would have made it
is.
longer.
Oh God, no! It would have forced me to restart it. The reason I never paused the
Oh,
film
no.
is because it would have given me the decision to restart it. So instead,
Rick, that actually just countermands what you were saying, because the whole reason you didn't pause it to go to the bathroom is because you were afraid you had to restart it and watch it from the beginning.
Oh,
But all right. So Rick's final thoughts. He never went to the bathroom. Grogan, you have final thoughts on this movie?
No,
Grogan hated it.
it was.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I gave a good synopsis of like how that went. But
You did.
anyone who hasn't seen it, who's watching this right now, I mean, I've described it as it is, and if you want to do it and give HBO Max the fourth viewing of this, then go ahead.
So Steve is insinuating that Ed Camus did not watch this fucking movie.
That is why he's not
and
here.
that's why he
This
didn't show up
shit
to
is
work
bullshit.
today.
This
Nope.
flu is bullshit.
I'm
He
gonna
just
say
didn't
this.
want to watch it.
Dude, Eddie never watched this film
know.
ever and called in and used PTO because he didn't do any work.
Yes, he did.
That motherfucker.
As much
Burning
as I would,
this sick day.
as much as I would like to stoke that rumor and make that a thing, Ed does this thing where he doesn't miss, like he didn't miss Supergirl, right? And when he was on 00 Deep Dive, he didn't miss Moonraker. He doesn't miss the worst of things, but he misses the second worst of things. And I think that's what this is, right? I mean, I don't even think this is the second worst, honestly. I think this is actually the third best, if you can imagine it being the third best. But Ed definitely watched this movie. Ed texted me and said, and I'm quoting here, "I cannot believe anyone thinks this is better than 2 or 3." So if had Ed been on here, you guys would have been really arguing, Grogan.
Yeah. I'll see. When Ed gets better, we'll meet in a bar and I'll argue with him about it. But, for right now, I'll just accept that he didn't watch it.
No, when he texts me tomorrow, I'm going to be like, all right, Ed, you watched that movie, right? Did Jimmy Olsen have a mustache?
Oh, you're going to quiz
What
him?
color shoes did Lois wear in every scene?
Yeah. Yeah, you should.
And in all fairness, I couldn't answer these questions.
He's going to get fucking pop quiz.
Yeah. And why is Superman's whole outfit sitting on a chair in his hospital room? We're going to ask him all these questions. Burning questions.
All these questions and more on next Granny's PT. I guess my final thoughts about this movie is I found it kind of boring. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I'm not in your camp, Grog. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Rick, I didn't love it as much as you did. It's kind of like there's 1 and 2, which are the good ones. Then there's this. Then there's 4 and 3 and Supergirl, because Supergirl's not a movie. 3 is barely a movie, and it's not a Superman movie.
It's not.
And 4 is the bare minimum you can have of a movie, in my opinion. So it's like the fact that I'm rating this as high as I am makes it sound like I really enjoyed it. But I want to be clear that I didn't. I just don't think it's as bad as the other stuff I've watched.
Okay, I mean, as far as a final thought on it, let's put it this way. Okay, so it makes me think of like one-hit wonders. Okay, like Nina, who did 99 Love Balloons, right? Probably there was a whole album behind that, and she probably thought, okay, I'm on my way. I'm going to be the next, I'm going to be big. And she isn't. And 99 Love Balloons sits where it is. What pisses me off is that like this movie, like people work on it, and like they thought they had something good, and it's forgotten. And it makes me sad for people with ambition, because sometimes, you hear on like in the movies and everything, oh, I have all these ambitions, and as long as you believe, you'll achieve greatness. And these people had ambition and achieved this. And it made me feel bad for everyone, for humanity. That is my closing thought on the movie. Sometimes you get Superman Returns no matter how hard you try.
Wow. Should say that in a church somewhere.
Your point is why I like bad movies usually, and I guess that just shows you the kind of person I am, because I like to watch people go in with all of their hearts and desires and come out with crap. Like Troll 2 was
Why
that.
do you like that, you sadist? Why?
Because here's the thing, because I'm never going to do anything great in my life, Grogan, and so I like to watch people fail at doing great things because I'm miserable. Okay, that's it. That's what it comes down to.
Jason's review: Superman Returns makes me feel better about myself.
That's right. That's right.
That's the best review I've heard.
I know I did.
I think that's a cap for Superman Returns.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to get anything more from this movie. Rick, Grogan, thank you for joining me tonight on our only like Edless one. So at this point, we're on like episode 93, but now Ed and I have only been on 92 episodes. Aha.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is that?
Destro sponsored by Conor McGregor now.
I love it. I love it. This is what it feels like to have other people bring their action figures on. It's amazing. But thank you.
Mine
for,
are always so
tonight,
randomly
gentlemen.
sitting around, so there'll always be a weirdo fucking rando toy appearance.
I've always got to think because I have so many of them. I've always got to, and they're not at my disposal here where I do the show, so I always have to think to bring them in. But anyway, thank you for joining me tonight, gentlemen. Thank you, audience, for joining us for this Superman Returns deep dive. If you want more of Granny's PhD, please follow us on Facebook. We got a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of crazy stuff, always a lot of fun videos and fun memes being shared. If you liked what you heard here, please join other shows on the network. We got Am I in the Air with Don, covers very similar things to us. So I'm not sure what he's covering this week because I didn't do my homework, but check him out. He's usually pretty amazing. Rick and I were talking about him backstage.
Yes, listen to Don Mega's opening theme song. It's awesome. He should make it available on YouTube.
There you go, yeah. There you go. Ring endorsements. If no other reason, go listen to that theme song. If you are into Star Wars, and I know Tim has got, I'm surprised Tim didn't show up today, the Kryptonian Defender. Tim has got the Shooting the Sith, which he has been doing all sorts of Star Wars related things. He is with Eric on the A to Z program, which usually goes Friday nights. He does the wrestling show with forgetting what it's called right now. I'm blanking on it. I usually have it written down. But where they
do the
cover
Just
all
Too
wrestling.
Sweet one. The Just Too Sweet one is the
Just
one.
There you go. Just Too Sweet. Thank you. So many names.
I watch all you guys. I'm a fan. I'm in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We all appreciate that. I don't know what sports is going on, but there are multiple sports things going on. I think we're done with baseball. That's why Eddie has been around more. But I think football is around. I know Bossman Faraci has football stuff going on. Put it in the book. So just go to the website and check it out. It's all fun stuff. That's right. Place your bets now. And if you don't place your bets without listening to Faraci, he knows what he's talking about. That's right. It's a gambling show. I don't know. I'm just saying that. Oh, well, I mean, so maybe Grogan, we should get a Greg gambling show going on.
No,
put money on the Cubbies.
No, but that's a good point. I should watch theirs before because I'm getting murdered. But yeah.
Well, I look. I don't actually know if they talk about gambling. I know nothing about sports, so I'm always just faking it when I'm talking about the sports stuff. But I figure gambling sells and sex sells. So I don't know. Maybe they're definitely gambling. I don't know. Check it out. Aren't we all every single time?
Yes.
But anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. We don't know the day yet, and I have to sort of hash it out, but we're going to be back with, I believe it is the end of our Superman run with Brightburn, which I have never seen.
Me neither.
Grogan and Rick. Grogan's never seen it. Rick, you've seen it. So I'm excited.
It's going to be a circle jerk.
Talking about Brightburn next week. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for all the pearl necklaces that are going to go around. So anyway, why'd you set me up for that? Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week with Brightburn. Peace.